We are taught from a very early age to disconnect from themselves. And I would even venture to say that most people don't know who they truly are on the inside. We've been taught to suppress our feelings, ignore our likes and our dislikes, and not talk about our thoughts, feelings, and opinions so that we can kind of go along and have peace amongst the herd. We're taught to listen to everybody else and ignore our intuition, when our emotions and our intuition are our connection to the spiritual side. That is the connection from earth to heaven. So when we ignore that, we're missing out on the really good richness of this life. This life is not just physical. It's not just 3D. There is so much more happening that you're not aware of until you're aware. And once you're aware, you can't see anything different. The problem is with the system that's designed to keep you disconnected, you can't see when the alarms are sounding. You can't see the forest through the trees. You're experiencing anxiety and angst, and you think it's a problem internally, but really it's a problem with your external environment. There's something in your life that is not making you feel safe, and you have to address that issue. We want to mask and address the symptoms, but there is a deeper root cause to these issues. When I went through my awakening and was going through my divorce and disconnecting from friends and family, I dove headfirst into astrology. I've always kind of been a horoscope girly, but this was different. I wanted to understand myself on this fundamental level. And Christians often will say that astrology is demonic and evil, but it's not. If you really understand, one, that the Bible was not the first religious text, there are other texts out there. And what God was really saying when in the Bible it references that humans were made in the image of God, there's truth in that, but we missed a part. The cosmos were made in the image of the Creator. We are made in the image of the cosmos. So being able to look at your natal chart and to see yourself as God intended, that is who you were born as. It does not mean that you're limited to only be that person. No, you're meant to break out of that. You're meant to understand the light and the dark of you and where you need to grow. It's also there to give you acceptance. We shame and guilt ourselves for having normal human reactions, feelings, thoughts, opinions, when those are our guides, those are our cues. Reading your natal chart and understanding it will help you love and accept yourself, knowing that it was written in the stars for you. Astrology can also really help you understand your relationship dynamics, whether good or bad. You have oppositions or squares, you have some tension, you have some balancing you need to work out between whatever those two planets are. You have conjunctions or trines. It could be really good, or it could be an explosion of energy. It all depends on your individual chart, and there's so much generic information out there, and a lot of it is referencing your sun sign, which is why it's always incorrect. Your horoscope is not going to be accurate just based off your sun sign. If you really wanted a more accurate horoscope, you might want to look at your rising sign. But again, astrology was not really meant to predict the future. We're not always meant to know what's supposed to happen. We're meant to understand ourselves and to see the patterns so we can break them. Astrology is a way to understand the patterns of yourself, the world, and other people, your relationships. But if we use it to only try to predict the events that we want, unfortunately, you will never get the correct answers. With astrology, there is so many variables. It's dependent on your degree, the planet, which house it's in. Are you looking at Vedic or tropical astrology? There are so many different variables. It is layered and complex, but in some ways it can be very simplistic too. You can look at your chart and understand your ego's energy, your soul's energy, your action energy, your passion energy, what you find beautiful in the world, but you can also see where you dim that and where you hide it. It is so important to know who you are, to know who God wrote you to be. And when I talk about God, I will make it endlessly clear. I am never talking about a white man in the sky. That is not who God is to me. God is a ball of energy. It is higher consciousness. It is light. And yes, God has a light and a dark side too. God and devil can be one and the same coin. That's why you can take your pain and turn it into purpose. If something was just sent from Satan, nothing good would come of it. And we all can attest that even in our hardest times, something good always came from it. There were always lessons to learn. There was always a next level. And I was laughing last night thinking, like, if there was a Real Housewives of Spirituality, my tagline would be, since life is a video game, I'm here to level up. You know, like, we are here to level up. We are here to always grow and learn. And that doesn't mean that you're here to never feel safe or comfortable. Of course you are. You're supposed to feel safe and comfortable through the process of growing. Well, maybe not comfortable, but safe for sure. Because that feeling comes from inside. It doesn't come from anything external. It doesn't come from how much money you have in your bank account. It doesn't come from whether or not you have a partner. It doesn't come from whether or not you have family support. Because guess what, baby? I don't have any of those things. And I know that I am safe. It is a struggle to feel that way all the time, because of energy transfer and evil eye and people trying to send me energy that's gonna knock me off my ground. But my grounding is in something so much bigger than myself that you're not gonna be able to shake it. I might close my eyes for a second, but my eyes will always open. And I may always wanna see the best in people, but I'm not dumb either. I can play dumb, but I'm not dumb. We are here to evolve and grow. Yes, maybe we're not here to be comfortable all the time, but feel safe and loved, because that feeling is eternal. That feeling has nothing to do with anything in your environment. It comes from within. My love for myself and my life comes from me. It comes from my commitment to myself. Again, I will waver and I will fall, but I will always stand back up. And that is what I want for all of us. I want all of us to get to such a place of peace and surrender within ourselves that we're not constantly fighting everybody else. You're wasting all of your energy fighting everything and anybody else. And I think sometimes people wonder how I can be cordial with my ex if he did all of these things. And the truth is, because I can separate the human from the lesson. I can separate the human from the entity, the energy that is attached to him that's trying to keep me down. I can understand that that's not his human. That might not even be his soul. That is something else that's coming for me. So I don't like that it happened. I don't like that he was a vessel for that pain. But I am happy with who I am now, and I absolutely will turn my pain into purpose. My purpose is to help people reconnect with themselves, find the divinity within, no matter how much abuse you've gone through. I can guarantee you, if you have been in abusive situations since you were a child, or toxic situations since you were a child, whether it's alcohol, drugs, addiction of any kind, to neglect, abandonment, all of that was because there is something so much larger on your life. And yes, it is very unfortunate that, God's hardest soldiers had to go through the war so early on, but we had to go through that to be able to be the bridge for other people going through that now. And I am willing to be the bridge. I am willing to help people see themselves from a different perspective. You don't have to see yourself from the perspective and the confines of this 3D world. You are more than your meat suit. You're more than your bank account. You're more than your job title. You are an energy. You are a soul. And when you are being weighed down by life, you can't fly, you can't ascend, you can't be who you're meant to be. You have to break the shackles. And unfortunately, we have to break these shackles and this limiting belief before there's any evidence in the real world that change is coming. And I've said it before, he will make you wait sometimes, and it's not as a punishment. It's because whatever you are calling in, you're not ready to hold yet. So he will continue the refining process. And I love the Bible verse that talks about how God holds you in the fire the same way that we refine silver. It is burning away the purities. God will do the same thing for you. Again, God is not a man. It is this energy. It is this loving, compassionate energy that wants the best for you and knows where your soul is headed and knows deep inside what you're holding on to, that pain, things that you might not even be aware of. I am extremely self-aware, and there are so many things that I know are still running scripts inside me that aren't meant to live there anymore. And you know, the best way that God shows you those little holes inside you is through other people. That is how he shows you. Whether it's bringing a relationship in your life that holds up a mirror that really shows you who you are, or it's some sort of code exchange that happens between you and somebody you just met, a friend, something, a catalyst, like we've talked about with our atoms. Something will come that will cause a force to move you out of your stuckness. You are never meant to stay stuck in shame, guilt, fear, abuse, and toxic cycles. You are meant to be free and trust fully that there is something greater than you that is holding you and carrying you through this lifetime. We will all face trials and tribulations. That's a guarantee. But you will always be carried through them. When I have really been struggling and I can't hear that voice and I feel like I'm alone, I always will think of that footprints poem in the picture. There's only one set of footprints because I was being carried. And that is the only way I can describe how I've gotten through some of what I've gotten through, if not all of it. Having everything happen to me at once was overwhelming, but I made it through, and I will not disappoint myself, God, or my children. I am here for a greater purpose, and you are too. You just have to remember.